Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we're looking at unwrapping models in FreeCAD, and with this model that I want to unwrap, you can see we've got almost like a sheet metal object. As you can see, there is a number of errors in here. This part here, this face has failed, these dark faces have failed, and we're going to successfully unwrap this and show you how to do that easily. So I hope you're enjoying these videos, and let's have a look at the workflow we need to tackle this problem. If you like what you see and you want to donate to the channel, then you can do so via Ko-Fi or Coffee at ko-fi.com/MANG0 or via PayPal at paypal.com/paypalme/Darren B. Eastone. I also run a Patreon where you can get early access and additional content, and that's at patreon.com/Mango Jelly Solutions. Links can be found in the channel header, on the About page, or in the descriptions of these videos. So this is the object I'm going to unfold in FreeCAD. If we look at the object, you'll notice that there are a few errors in here. So these black faces that are coming up shows that FreeCAD can't calculate this face, and we've got an anomaly here as well. And I've introduced these anomalies into this model. So I've got a model that's far from perfect to work with. There's also a number of flip normals, intersecting faces, etc. So I've made it hard on myself to actually unfold this. And I'm going to show you a way to easily unfold a model like this that has these errors. My model is centered. You can see the axis crosses here. And what I want to do is unfold this into a 2D shape. If we think about the unfolding process, we wouldn't want to unfold the top face, so taking this face, because if you look, this curve here differs in length to this curve. So we get a shorter side if we unfold it from one side of the object, and a longer side if we unfold it from, say, this side of the object, because of this distance. We need to unfold from the middle. To do that, I need to separate out the faces. I'm going to use the draft workbench. So I'm going to come over to the draft workbench, and I'm going to take my model and use the downgrade. That to modifications and downgrade. That will separate this out into faces. And straight away you can see, well, we've got a few problems in here, and we don't need this. This is some kind of random face. And you can see, well, we start to break around here as well. But because I've separated it out in faces, I can get to the faces that I want. This is probably because of a flipped normal. Lucky enough, we have these top faces, and I'm going to show you how to deal with this if we come across this problem. So I'm going to select the top faces first, control selecting them, like so. And also we want the faces in here. Let's control select those as well. So we've got all the faces that we need selected. You see the faces have been selected in the tree view. Let's come up to the modifications and then upgrade. This will upgrade all those faces into a shell. I'm going to select the others by clicking one, scrolling up to the top, shift clicking the other, and pressing the spacebar. Hide those. We have a shell now, this shell here. Now if we remember back to our original object, and if I bring back those faces again, select those, it has a height. So this height here, we need to figure out what that is, because really we've got to split the object through the center to allow for this to work. We're going to use an offset for that. So I'm going to offset from this face half this height. Let's see what this height is here. This height here. I'm just going to use the measuring tool and just measure that height from top to bottom. We can see that's 2.6. And maybe I want to take another measurement. Now I've zoomed in a bit. And we can see that one's 2.8. So I need to offset this face, this shell, by half of that distance. So 1.4. That's come down. We see the measurements here. Let's delete them. So remember 1.4. That's come over to the part workbench. And I'm going to hide all these faces. I'm just going to leave one here for reference. So I want to get rid of this one. So I'm going to shift select those from here to here, press the space bar, and then shift select the others. So from this one upwards and press the space bar. They're all hidden now. This is just a separate face and we've got our shell. Select the shell. We're in the part workbench. Go up to part and come down to the 3D offset. Looks like it's vanished, but all we have to do is use the fit all and we get back to where we are. So you can see at the moment, this is offsetting upwards. We want to do it in the reverse direction. So come over to the offset and set this to -1.4. So we've gone in the center of that face now and then hit OK. So we've got our offset, which we need to unwrap. We haven't filled the offset. It looks like there are two sides to this offset, but if we open up the offset, we see the shell inside. So the shell is still visible. Just press the space bar. The offset is a separate object. Now we've got our offset, we can unwrap this. We don't need this face anymore. Click on it, press the space bar. To unwrap this, we need to be in the mesh workbench. So come up to the workbenches, the drop down, and select mesh. From here, we convert the offset to a mesh. Click the offset, cut to meshes, come down to create mesh from shape, like that. We get the standard tab up. Let's just hit OK and take the defaults. The offset is still visible. If we look down to the bottom of the tree view, we have our offset mesh. Click the offset, press the space bar, so we just see the mesh. Now we can take the offset mesh, come up to meshes, and come down to unwrap mesh. We have now unwrapped the mesh, and we can click on the offset and press the space bar. So we've got that offset unwrapped and laying on the plane. This plane underneath is just from the draft workbench, so we can come over to the draft workbench and hide the grid. So we can see that upon the plane. It's unwrapped on the top plane. And now we can export this. If we come down, we can see the shapes in here. Let's highlight all those. So we've got all these selected, and we come up to modifications and draft to sketch. I can press the spacebar now to hide those, and now we've got the sketch. So this is now a sketch, which in turn can close, and we can use that sketch and go up to File, Export, and export as a DXF or even SVG. Let's come in, change the name, and export out. This is now exported, and if we look at this in new file, File, Import, and select the DXF, you can see our shape is sitting in here. As said before, this object did have errors. So let's have a look how we would fix some of those errors. So let's close all those. And I'm going to create a new document. And I'll come up to File and Import. I'm going to pick the same part. So the first problem we got is where it's placed. If I view and toggle the axis across, you can see that, well, it's right over here. So we need to fix that. That's easily done. Let's come over to the Sketch workbench. And I'm going to place a reference in here, and I'm going to align this part to that reference. So this is the center of rotation. If I right click and transform, you can see the center's over here. So new sketch, and make sure nothing's selected. New sketch, XY plane, and hit OK. And in the middle of the sketch, I'm going to sketch something in here, say a rectangle. And we're going to hit close. Now in this order, we'll pick the item that we're going to align to, and then control select the item that needs aligning from the tree view. Come out edit and alignment. So now we've got the movable object on the left and the fixed object on the right. These are two independent screens. I can zoom in and move this around and use the fit all if needs be, if I get myself lost. And what I need to do is select a minimum of 3 points on here. So if I click on this face, a point will be added. Click again, and again, you can see I've got 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3. And we just place the points on here. So these will be matched as best they can on here. So 0.3 will be try to align with 0.3 on here. So 0.1 and 0.2. We just need to right click and align. We've now aligned the part to this object, and I can select the sketch and hit delete. The alignment has taken, but we still got a problem with this plate. If I right click and transform, you see, well, we're right out here. Let's okay that. To fix that, we can make a refined copy. I can click on it and come over to the part workbench. Click on part after it's been selected and come down to the create copy and refine shape. So that's got rid of any redundant edges. And now we've got this part here. The other one's being made invisible. And I can right click and transform, and you see a transformation handle is here. So this is point of rotation. Allows us to rotate, etc. Let's okay that. Now let's look at unwrapping this in a different way. This method is going to be used in face binders, because we saw when we downgraded this that we had some problems, and this is another method to use. Let's come over to the draft workbench and pick the top faces from here. So I'm going to control select the faces that I want to unwrap. And now I'm going to make a face binder against these. Come up to drafting and come down to face binder. That's created a face binder of that top face. I can click on the object, not the face binder, the previous object, and press the space bar. So now I've got this. Now let's try and create an offset against this. I'm just going to hide the grid. Come up to the drop down for the workbenches and come over to the part. Click on the face binder and come up to part and 3D offset. You notice we've got some problems. And if we zoom in, you can see that the offset has taken, if I hit OK just for now, and look to see what the offset's done, let's hide that face binder. We've got a problem here. And we can see we've got, well, this curve comes all the way down here. And if I bring back the face binder, we can see, well, we have some problems here. We've got some flipped normals. So this curve should be on this side and this one should be over here, etc. So I need to solve this. I need to look at the problematic faces and identify them. So I'm going to look at the offset, this original offset, and also look at the face binder. showing and hiding that offset and looking at both the face binder and the object underneath, I can figure out what parts are problematic and from there divide them off. I could try taking the face binder and come over back to the draft workbench and taking that face binder and doing modifications and downgrade. So I've split out those faces. The offset's going to go into error because it's no longer there. And you can see, well, we've got all those faces that we need. And then if I take those again and do modifications and upgrade, it's now become a shell. And now we can see if the offset will allow for that shell. Let's come back to the part. We've still got that original offset there, which has gone into error. Let's delete that now. Take the shell, part, and 3D offset. And you can see now that the 3D offset has taken. So that's fixed all those flip normals and the problems that we've encountered. Let's cancel that. If that doesn't work, so I've gone back to the face binder, then we can use the offset and identify the problematic faces. Click on the face binder, come up to part, and we do our 3D offset. Just OK that. And I can see, and this may take a little while to figure out which one's which, that the problem face on the face binder is this one here and this one here. So I can use the offset, just hide that, and we'll isolate those two faces, this one and this one. And in the draft workbench, we'll create a new face binder. Drafting and face binder. So if I hide that face binder now, we've got these two parts, this one and this one. So these are flipped. These are the flipped faces. So I'm going to rename this one face binder flipped. Let's hide that face binder now and bring back the other one. I can use my offset again and just toggle the visibility of that with a spacebar and decide which ones are okay. So we're going to go for this one and this and these two. Again, come up to the drafting and use the face binder. Let's hide the original face binder. We don't need that anymore. So what we've got is this one, which if I come over to the part, this one will offset forwards and this one will offset backwards. So we need to join these together first. So we need to take the one that's going to offset backwards and flip it. So flip the normals. Face binder flipped, we renamed that. Let's come out to part and come down to reverse shapes. If I click on that, that will reverse the normals of these faces. Let's hide the face binder flipped. We don't need that anymore. And take our face binder, this one here, and our new reversed one. Control click those. And we'll boolean those together. Part, boolean, and union. We get this warning because they're not solids. Let's hit yes. So those are together now. This will now offset correctly. If we come up to part and use the 3D offset, we can see we've created a successful 3D offset against those. And we can carry on with the unwrapping of the shape. So there's three ways. So the first way is the easiest way. if we don't see any problems and we have the faces that we need. If we do see some problems, then the second way of just taking those faces as a shape binder and then using the downgrade in the draft workbench to downgrade those faces, and then using the upgrade against those faces to make a shell and using the offset with that. If that doesn't work, then we have to go through the face binders and the reverse shape to fix those problems in there. Now, when you make a mesh of this, so if I come in and make a mesh of this, let's quickly do that. So we want this as -1.4 and okay that. And let's hide the fusion underneath. Come over to the mesh workbench, take that offset, cut to meshes and create mesh from shape. Okay that. You notice that we may get some errors around here. So this may still be an error. I'm just going to hide that offset. So we've got this mesh shape. To check this for errors, we click on it. Come up to meshes, analyze, and evaluate and repair. On the right hand side, you see the mesh has been selected, and we can use the analyze and look for problems in that mesh. And you can see I've got duplicate points there, and it will highlight those duplicate points. And there's somewhere in there, if we can see them, they're just there. So you can see those are duplicate points, and we can repair those. Analyze, we've got two non-manifolds. We see them there, and just hit repair. Analyze, that's fine. And we're all good all the way through. So we just repair those, close that panel, and then we can use the usual process of clicking on the mesh, come up to meshes, and unwrap mesh. See the mesh has been unwrapped. We just click on the mesh, press the space bar, and we got the shapes for our export. So I hope that was of use, and I hope to see you in the new video. If you like what you see and you want to donate to the channel, then you can do so via Ko-Fi or Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/MANG0 or via PayPal at paypal.com/paypalme/DarrenBEstone. I also run a Patreon where you can get early access and additional content, and that's at patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Links can be found in the channel header, on the About page, or in the descriptions of these videos. I thank everybody that's donated so far. It really helps to keep the lights on so I can produce more content and also expand the channel. Thank you for liking, commenting and subscribing to these videos, and I hope to see you again in the next one.